What's going on, YouTube? Achilles here, and today we're going to be doing a segment where we look at the top decks that are winning today. I gathered all the best deck lists out of these 6 decks with the highest win rate, and has the majority of the most games, has good statistics, and we're just going to go over these lists and see what's going on and why it's doing good and our little thoughts on it. So, for the first deck, we got Rakdos Aggro. I mean, this one's pretty self-explanatory. You're just trying to pump up your guys like Scamp, Hero, Swiftspear, Slickshot, Show-Off, and Codebreaker. Oh, and can't forget Emberheart Challenger. Getting it to do a ridiculous amount of damage, and then getting rid of that creature with Sell-Sword to get the rest of the damage done to your opponent. Pretty simple strat. I'm sure everyone has seen this deck before. If you haven't, you live under some kind of magical rock that this deck does not go to, but everyone's seen this one. This is a pretty, this is a pretty good list. 20 lands, some play like 19 or whatever. I see some builds play 4 of this, some play 4 of this. Some play this, some don't. But besides that, it's a solid list. I like it. For the next one we got Selesnya Rabbits. So this one is probably the most durable out of all the aggro decks, I'd like to think. And I still feel like the Rakdos aggro deck I see a lot more, but this deck is pretty darn good. You could start off with the 1-drop, you have 3 different ones, and then go into the 2-drops. All these cards have a lot of value on it. And then some builds play the hop to it, some don't. I guess it just depends on what you're doing. Maybe if you're playing the Convoke package, this is really good, especially with the Evangelist. Evangelist, yeah, I think I said that right. Okay. But anyway, this guy is really good because you go super wide and then bam, everyone gets a buff because of the battle cry. So it's really good. And then some builds play this. I feel like some don't. This one's good though, but this deck had the most win rate out of all the other ones by like a couple percent. So I had to choose this list. Also, some play this, some don't. I think it's definitely a 4 of in this deck. Same thing with this. Some play this, some don't. But this is good against stuff like temporary lockdown and whatnot. So there's a lot of value to it. And yeah, rabbits. They're pretty darn good, if I'd have to say so. But you're not a rabbit. So are you. Anyway, next list. Got Urza Bats. Now for this one, there was a lot of win rates that were pretty tied. I tried to go and with same with the amount of games played, but I picked this list because it is pretty solid. All this stuff is pretty standard. I feel like some play this, some don't. What else? Like this one, I feel like is a staple. Like all these cards are staples, although I would like to say I see some builds that don't play this and some that do. This one's good. I feel like some do, some don't with this. And then some builds play Alcazaz and whatnot. But it's a pretty good list. I don't really know what else to say about the bats, other than that, if you look at a bunch of bat lists, there's always a bunch of different ones. There's not one, like, oh, you gotta play this list of bats. So it's kind of just one of those decks you could just mess around with. But there's definitely cards you want to play 4 of, like Essence Channeler and whatnot, because it's just so good. But, I don't know, maybe some people have some other mindsets of how to take the deck to, well, put it on different angles, should I say, instead of like, oh, the traditional, oh, just gain life and do this. I mean, I'm pretty sure there'll be some spicy decks along the way, but that's bats. Also doing good, surprisingly. I still don't get how this deck is doing good, but Rakdos Lizards is in the meta. It has a pretty good win rate, believe it or not. Maybe because with my list I wasn't playing this, but now that I think about it, everyone plays this, and then you just get some value on it. It's pretty good, especially when you get it discounted with the amount of lizards you have on the field. So it's good. Besides that, everything's a staple if you think about it. Like, you want to play 4 of that, you want 4 of this, you want to have 4 of this. Like, all these cards are easy 4-ofs. This card I see people play 4, 2, but this is a solid list. How many lands does this one have? 22 lands, okay. Not bad. That's interesting that they're not doing the black the village for the trying to, you know what? While we're here, we're gonna just take a look. Mud flat. Oh, there is a mud flat in here. Silly me. Okay. I was just wondering why there wasn't one. I mean, it's okay. You just get a 1 to your hand, but I feel like it's alright just to play it. I mean, you might as well since you're playing one of these types of cards, in this case, Lizard. So that's that. For the next deck list, we got Azorius Control. By the way, I'm going to put all the links for each deck in the description if you guys want to try out the deck. So now we're looking at this deck. So this list is pretty cool. Wait a minute. Just making sure that's not my Azorius Control. Sorry, you have another one in here. Should I take that one? No. Okay, it just looks so similar to mine now that I think about it. But they're only doing 2 Spellgire in this list. Okay. I can see that, but I love 4 of this. Like, I'm just looking at this list. I agree with a lot of things in this. Maybe if it was me, I'd be doing like 4 of this, like I said, 4 of this, because in some control matchups, when you're playing this deck, in some matchups, those land creatures could be really annoying, especially if the cards in your hand are like Sunfall for removal and you don't have a way to get lost to hit the creature lands. So I really always love this, especially Merrick's is always my favorites. But besides that, this is a pretty solid list. But like I said, I'd probably play another Spellgire. Like, me personally, I would cut the Scrutiny for another Spellgire, just because I'm just that insane, I guess. But I just love the value on this. But this also has its own, you could just draw so many cards, so it's debatable. But I like either one. And now for the last deck that is doing really good right now today for win rate wise, we got a mono red mice deck. And well, it's kind of like a sub-theme mice, but it's still mono red, still doing all its things. This card has been very popular lately. It's pretty much everyone calls it Embercleave at home. Or, something like that, but it's pretty good. Very underrated. And I also love how you could, you could play like a Callous Sell-Sword or 2 just to get some extra damage in or whatever, but they're like, nah, then we would just be another Rakdos aggro deck, so either way, it still gets the job done. If you think about it, you plot this, and then, next turn you have like 3 mana open, or maybe you had this on the field already, but giving this double strike with the mouse, if you really think about it, that's pretty good. If you plot this, give it Monstrous Rage, and then maybe like something else, and then this has double strike, it's pretty darn good, guys, especially like plot turn 1, plot turn 2, so it has a good curve. You could literally go turn 1 with a lot of good things with this. So, it's just mono red. I'm not going to give it too much credit because everyone knows mono red. It's just some angry red decks. So. But yeah. But those are the 6 decks that I found today. I hope you guys liked the video. Subscribe if you have not yet. And yeah. I was going to say like the video again, but I already said that, so you can like it twice instead. But, yeah, thanks for watching. If you want to see more of these kind of videos, let me know, and take care.